Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are getting into the June bullet journal setup, and in this setup I'm going to be doing some watercoloring. I was making some terrariums, or making a terrarium with my sister, and this really inspired me to do some succulents and cactus and terrariums, and so that is what this month is all about, is little terrariums and succulents. So I decided to start off with basically a large terrarium, and I've really also liked a lot of the geometric stuff that people have done, so I wanted to incorporate that as well. So my terrarium is this little geometric diamond upside down, and then I just went through and sort of did some sketches of succulents and then decided to watercolor them. I did try doing it with some Tombow dual brush pens and coloring them in, but I'm just not good enough at shading that it ended up looking just more like I'd colored it with Crayola markers and tried to do some weird shading. So ended up doing watercoloring instead, and I really like the way that it turned out. It's a lot more vibrant in person. I feel like it doesn't get picked up as well on the camera, but I'm not really trained in watercoloring, so I'm not going to describe the things that I do. I just kind of do stuff that seems that it looks like it works for me. The next part that I did was going through with this Pentel Gold fine liner paint pen and use that to do my outline of my little terrarium. And I ended up wanting it to be a little bit thicker, and so my plan had been to go back through with my paint pen and just make the lines thicker, but then it decided to stop working, and there was definitely ink still in it, so as I was shaking it, a whole bunch of ink came out, so I ended up just grabbing my paintbrush and using that to sort of paint it on. Not something that I would do with your favorite paintbrush, because that stuff does not really want to come off very well. And then as I started to run out of paint, I also had some Art Folk Gold acrylic paint, and so I ended up using that and mixing it to sort of get the same tone. The only reason I didn't just go with the folk art paint itself is because whenever I went over the Pentel pen, it was you could see the line coming through. It just wasn't dark enough for what I had previously used. And this did take a little bit longer of time than just being able to use a marker and just use a roller and go through. So I would recommend, if you have a paint pen or you're looking to do something like this, maybe go with a thicker tip paint pen so you don't have to like go back over and over to try and get the thickness of the lines. I also lost some of that really straight edge that I got with my roller because I was doing this by hand. The last thing that I decided to do with this drawing is go back through with a Prismacolor colored pencil and do the outlining of the plants that I had drawn. I'd considered using a fine liner pen to go through and do the outlining, but I thought it would be a little bit too crisp to go with the watercolor that I had done, and I felt like this colored pencil really matched the tone of the watercolor. And I really love my little lithops, the little brown ones down there. Those are my favorite. I'm thinking about trying to grow those, so if anybody has notes on how to do that, let me know. The last thing that I decided to do was put in the month title there, and I know this is sort of the monthly page opening to June, and so I had originally considered doing some calligraphy up top, but I just thought that I wanted the terrarium to be the central focus there. And then of course, if you're doing all of that watercolor and paint pens, I wanted to check before I turned it over to make sure that I wasn't going to get a big thing of paint on the other side. The next page is my monthly layout page, and I have been doing some larger monthly layouts, and I've tried that in the smaller ones, and so this is a different layout than I've done in the past. It's still big, but it's not all connected. I decided to do my little boxes. I had considered doing shadowing on these, but I just decided that would take way too much time, and I didn't want to sit there outlining and shadowing every single little box. Continuing with my terrarium theme, I decided to do some of those little amazing little glass orbs that you can find at like Home Depot and Hobby Lobby and everywhere that has the little plants in it, and so I did that. I should have used my roller that I have sitting right there in the left hand corner to make those circles instead of drawing them by hand. They would have been a lot crisper. However, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't bother me that much that they're not totally straight. And then I decided to do a little shelf of plants, and because I'd really like to have one of those in real life, but I'll have my little plants on the shelf in my journal, so that'll work. And then the last little terrarium, which was kind of a branch off because I ended up doing little mushrooms in there, but I just think mushrooms are pretty cool, and maybe I'll have to do a page where I'm just doodling mushrooms because just so much coloration can be done. I also ended up using a white paint pen to fix any places where maybe the black ink had sort of overflown. And then the last thing that I'm doing here is just filling in my stickers and the things that I had planned for this month. And so one of the cool things is it'll be my 8-year wedding anniversary, so I'm excited about that. Moving on to the next page is my habit tracker, and I am doing this completely different. So as you will know from the last like 2 or 3 months, I have been doing the little monthly outline boxes, and I got really tired of getting confused as to what day it was. And so I had that thought that I might have the same issue here, and so I was gonna number the boxes, but then I thought that would just be a lot of work, and so I decided to just make a key down below so that I could just refer to. And then I used my Tombow Jewel brush pens to color those in. And my meal plan is pretty much the same, although this time I just decided to make it one little boxed in area. And going back to that geometric theme, I thought having these little lines and having the sort of geometric stuff going on there would be pretty cool. My next page is my sleep tracker, and I decided to keep it in a box like the meal plan and sort of have that continue that boxy look. I did accidentally mess up on the last day and shortchanged myself on that, so I did use my little paint pen to mark out that line and draw the next one. The next page that I worked on is my brain dump, and I really love the way this one ended up doing. I had a little terrarium that I doodled and a little fairy garden house, almost like. So I really like the way this terrarium turned out. I decided not to color it in because I thought there was just so much going on. I thought that coloring it would probably take away from it. The last page is my to-do page, and I started to do this little border of succulent plant type things, and then I just decided I didn't like it and it was going to take too long and I was tired. So I just marked through it, and as always in bullet journals, you can fix it if you just sort of are okay with either drawing over it with a black line, or if you wanted to get another page, you could always put a page over the top of it. But I like to sort of keep those in there and minimally change my mistakes. So flipping back through all the way here to May, where I did my macarons and the changes, the differences you can see in that monthly layout versus my other one, my habit tracker with the monthlies, and then my meal plan, my sleep tracker, which is going to be pretty much the same, just in a box, my brain freeze or brain dump, and my to-do page, and then my running log. You guys can take a look at that bullet journal video if you want to, and then back to the June layout. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and if you have any questions or comments below, I would love to hear them. If you have any ideas for layouts, I'd also love to hear those below, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thanks, guys.